Today I'm going to draw a still life. I picked 3 different shapes to put in. My favorite, the French press for my coffee, a box, and a jar. A mason jar with some snacks in there. Yum. So it's not going to be about the details anyway. We're just going to want to know where shapes are and how they are to proportion. And if you want, slide in your grid. That would be helpful to know where things line up. You can use a grid. But today we're going to talk about composition. And one great way to learn about composition is to use a viewfinder. So a viewfinder, it's very simple. You just cut a square out of the paper. And this will help you decide what's going to be the main feature of your drawing, of your painting, whatever you're going to do. Of course, you're going to draw it before you paint it, right? So composition is important. It can show a dramatic effect. You might draw my whole face. Because I'm talking to you, it's just easy for me to talk about a face. Or you might draw just the eye, you know. See how more dramatic that is? So you can use a viewfinder, and that helps. That just helps you remember that you don't have to draw everything and squeeze it in tiny on the page. You can fill your page with the images. What will I do? A viewfinder. I also added some dramatic light. So I opened the shade of the window and it has a nice shadow. The sun's only going to be there for a little while and then it's going to change. So when you're working with sun, you have to remember that. So artificial light usually helps. And get that shadow in, maybe that's a focal point, the shadowing. So that's it, you decide. Of course, you don't have to use the frame to find your composition. You can just go with it. But I think in the beginning, when you're drawing, it's fun to use different tools and techniques to learn and to experiment with. And they help you see better when you're drawing from life. But it's a good tool to learn about composition and not to draw everything. Like every detail that you see in front of you, not to be overwhelmed by, oh my God, that's so much. I can't draw all that. No, chunk it up. Sometimes it's just fun to watch other artists draw or paint, and you watch their techniques and you learn their style and you take bits and pieces of your own. I love watching other people. That's why we all think Bob Ross was so great. Just watching his painting and his techniques, say, hey, that's a fun technique. I'm going to use that feather brush next time I paint and see what I can do and make trees. This is about the eye level that I'm at. So I'm going to now show you. I'm just going to use some scrap paper and a pencil for drawing right now. And remember I said artists line things up. So if I put the grid back there, you could use the lines, but I can use my pencil and see where things line up. Just do a rough sketch, gently and lightly. And you look at where things line up. Okay, see how when I'm looking at it from that angle, only like the first quarter of that box is where the French press part is. So it was like the first quarter. So this is where the handle of that pot comes up. And if the box is this big, how high does the French press go up? Just doing some sketching. Now there's a cross contour, see that? This is the negative image that make in between the handle and the glass. That's what you have to look at. And a cross contour to show that it's round. So the negative image in between here is going to be an important shape to make sure it's right. And then there's that cross contour some more over here, negative image between these two. What does it look like? What shape is it? That's helpful when you're drawing. Now I'm just doing a quick sketch, you know, so just to show you how I start out. Of course, when you're drawing, you're going to do a lot more detail. So here's the end of the box. It actually doesn't go back that far. It's a little bit smaller and comes here. So where does... Can clean this all up later too. So the end of the box, and where from the corner of this box does the bottom of the coffee pot start. You see the little corner there and where it goes. I have a little bit of a different angle when I'm drawing than when I show you, but you get the gist of it by me showing you that. There we go. Let's look at that negative image. Inside, where the lid goes, is another nice cross contour to show the shape of that glass. It goes like that. And it's black, so that's going to be colored in. Shaded, you know, shaded darker pencil. Well, I'm just sketching, so then you can go back and clean it up a little bit. The more you draw, the more drawing that you do, the better you'll get at drawing. Like anything else, you know. You learn how to ride a bike. If you only did it once, you'll never know how to ride a bike. Like I said, we're just doing shapes. We're not really doing detail. So like, I'm not going to be doing all the wording. We're just looking at the shape. Okay, so now we're looking, I think that's looking pretty good. Get this little shape here. Little ball on top. We're going to look at the negative image between the coffee pot and the jar. So we have this shape. It turns and goes straight down and turns a little this way. And what does that do? And then there's some shadows back there too. So now we'll draw that. And, oh, sorry, and the relationship between this negative image here, which goes up around that negative image here, is also important because it will show the placement and where they sit on the table. So let's look at where it lines up. The box lines up right there, and from the top of the jar there's a little bit left of the coffee pot, just showing you how tall it is. So in my drawing, I already made it too tall, this jar. So I erase it and adjust. So if I drew a straight line right here and a straight line here, that's where the bottom of the jar is. And does that turn? A curve there, and this is where it starts to curve here. There we go. There's the jar now, and it goes up, and it has a lid. And the lid is going to show the cross contour, right? And you can see already, just from those basic things that I just talked about, lining things up, like if we had the grid in there, you'd see it, but now I'm not using the grid, I'm just using my own eye. So now this has a shadow, and the shadow goes across right to this. And then this is box box turns here. And there's a shadow, just a little shadow here. And this has a shadow. Now I have my shapes. And now I can start adding detail if I wanted to go further. Because it's just about skill building right now. You know, I just want to keep going. Maybe we're going to add color to that. There it is, a quick watercolor sketch. I'm gonna put that little ball up top. You know, you add color where you see it, the same way you add the pencil lines. Little pieces of color everywhere. And this is just, you know, regular paper, so it doesn't hold the paint so well. But it's fun just to practice. I hope you enjoyed this composition lesson. A little bit of drawing and practice. These little exercises really just help you get better at drawing quick sketches. They don't have to be perfect. It's just you like, oh yeah, I'm remembering how to draw things and how to see things. Keeping the practice going daily, you know. And I like to add color. I like to paint. And that's just, I mean, it's not perfect. It's just a sketch. You're doing it quick. You're remembering how to put things and how to see what's there and how to draw it. And you just keep going. Keep practicing, keep drawing, and keep creating. And you'll get better. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.